Good morning and happy pre-eclipse. We're here today on this beautiful Saturday to talk about this important phase that we are in. We are nearing some very powerful eclipses that are coming up. And right before the eclipses, we have an incredible interior conjunction between Venus and the Sun. And this is the sacred passage that I've been talking about. And we're going to understand a little bit more about this sacred passage into the eclipses, why we're being given this opportunity, what these eclipses are enhancing here for us, and what are we looking at for the next 6 months? What does the astrology show? Good morning, Stevie, Melissa, Bobo, Corolla. You all are just here so bright and early, and I want to thank you for joining me. I know many of you are setting alarm clocks to wake up at 1:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. You all, thank you for being here. This is an important time, and I know that you are also very curious to know what I have to say. What does astrology have to say, right? It's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and yes, we're all in this together, and I'm going to help you understand a little more, give you a little more perspective, because that is what astrology does. So I want to also invite all of you watching this, the ones watching the replay, as well as the ones watching this now, to please support my work. Share this video with friends, with people that you know may benefit from this, because we're all in this together, you know? And I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off as well. I'm sure many of you are. I'm going to explain a little more later. But I am going to be taking my time off to soak up these energies that we're going to talk about here. And I'm sure that by the time we're done talking about it, you're going to want to do the same. But in the meantime, I do appreciate your mutual support to these times that I come here and share the message with you. And I also wake up early in the morning to be here with you. So thank you for sharing this with others, for loving it, and for supporting my work. Now, I've been talking in the, yes, I know, so many of you that I know here are my students from the mentorship program and the Facebook group, the classroom. This is what I was going to say here, that I've been talking about in the Facebook classroom. I have a free Facebook astrology classroom. It's a group. You can find that. The link, all the links of everything I referred to are going to be on the description of this video. That's a cozy space that we have to like just talk a little more, go a little more in depth of things that are happening in astrology. And many of you are here with me today. So you know that I've been talking about so many aspects of where we're at now. And there's been many videos on Venus retrogrades here on YouTube, in the classroom. There's been videos about this Neptune vibe that we're in and what's happening, which is also very important to understand because this is playing a big role in what's to come next. And, you know, there are many of us that are feeling this Neptune and Pisces vibe. I'm going to just preface this with the Neptune, because this is kind of where we're coming from. We're coming right now, this is where we're at. We're with this really strong Neptune Pisces energy, which is so surreal. Hi, Martin and Boulder. Hey, Spencer, you're here. So, you've been feeling this Pisces vibe, this Neptune vibe. Just let me know in the comments how you're feeling it because, you know, we've talked about the entire spectrum of this archetype on our classes on Facebook and just in many places, in my posts and my newsletter as well. And this vibe is either just complete surrender, which allows you to access the most beautiful states of spirit. And this is something that is happening to everyone collectively. More and more things are being amplified. Or we can get pulled into the realms of utter confusion. Here's the big key word that I kept forgetting in the classroom: disorientation. Disorientation is a big one with Neptune. So, how are you feeling? Oh my God, so Pisces, right? Oh wow, we have people from Rio. Yes, I've lived there for 12 years. Ha, Brazil. Hello, Wanda. And I hope you're doing well. And thank you, Javier. Thank you for the beautiful words, all of you. Please let me know how you're feeling this Pisces energy because it's strong and it's here for a reason. I want to help you understand because if you understand this Neptune and Pisces energy, we can best navigate what's coming next. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit here in the introduction about where we're at now, the Pisces vibe. We're going to lead this to the eclipse. Well, before we have a super powerful conjunction between Venus and the Sun, this is a sacred portal. We're going to talk about that too. This right after we have the eclipse that happens 2 days later on June 5th. Then afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about the focus of the South Node in Gemini. I'm sorry, the South Node in Sagittarius, because that is the emphasis of this lunar eclipse. So we're going to take a little look at that in the context of where we're in. We're going to look at the world. We're going to look at a little bit of the astrology, okay? We're going to dive straight in because there's definitely a lot to talk about, and you know that like when I do things here with astrology, like I go deep. So I hope you all have a lot of coffee, and I definitely don't want to make this too long, but there's also a lot to cover, and we are preparing for some really powerful times. So we're going to talk about all of this, and then I'm going to conclude with some points, some tips for you to navigate this transition that we're in. Okay, so let's remember here before we keep on. Yeah, I know some of you are feeling dizzy, right? Like a roller coaster. Dreams may be extremely vivid, extremely vivid. Maybe you're feeling like really like lucid dreams, like astral work is so intense, but also intuition. Neptune rules dreams, it rules imagination, it rules creativity. It's the left brain, and I'm sorry, the right brain. Coffee. Neptune. And, this is really encouraging us to just open up to the realms of spirit and to the heart, which is what Neptune ultimately represents as unconditional love. But there is a blurring of the lines that occurs with Neptune. And this is what I find really interesting about this time that we're in is that Neptune is really active. And the fact that Neptune is very active, I mean, he has been very active, okay, and he will continue to be for a little while longer. But, to me, like, he's really going to continue to be active the rest of the year primarily because he is participating right now of these incredible alignments that we're having. So the way that it works in astrology is that when we have like big alignments, big celestial events, whatever alignments are locked in place at that given moment in time are speaking of the nature of the upcoming cycle. So, of course, there are many cycles we look at in astrology, many cycles we work with, and we can look at cycles all the way from, little small lunar cycles all the way to millennial cycles and even further. So that's the beauty of astrology, is that we really look at a segment in time as we know it, right? A segment in time that has the participation of all these little cycles. And it can get intricate, It's my new hobby right now is teaching astrology at Raquel Spring's Astrology Mentorship Program. Not the Facebook group. Facebook group is a free group that you can just come in there and lounge out and just get to know what's happening even deeper. But if you really want to learn how this works and how I do it, it's in the mentorship program. The link is also in the description of this video. And in there, we're really, really learning how to understand the planets and the alignments as a consciousness, as participators of what's happening. And these cycles that they express themselves in are really, 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 really incredible. And you can study all the way from one cycle to two cycles together, three. I mean, you can keep going. And I'll tell you that there are many cycles right now being formed with Neptune, very active. And the fact that Neptune is very active right now, he is carrying the signature into our next 6 months ahead, into a lot of what's to come. And the beauty that I see about Neptune's participation in all of this is that not only it's helping really, really thin the veils to us, which is helping in so many ways, obvious, and some others that we're going to discover, but he's also participating in a very important part of this phase, this transition. And this is the phase in the transition where our structures of our internal belief systems are going to start to be reformed. In order for us to have new perceptions, new ideas, these are all the things that the North Node in Gemini is bringing to us. Now, I forgot to include this link over there, but I will after, for the ones watching the replay. I'm going to include, I have a little course that I put together, a super powerful little course about the North Node in Gemini. And this is what you want to look at, because at the end of the day, this is our North Star. This is like what we are focusing on. We are bringing in the Gemini energy now into our new cycle of experience. So as a consequence, we're going to have new ideas, new initiatives, new connections, and definitely new thought processes and ways of thinking as well. Now, in this course, you also get to see the lunar nodes through all the 12 houses. So you get to see where this Sagittarius South Node and the North Node in Gemini are speaking of, where they are in for you in your chart, and then what they are speaking for you, what that message is for you. Because we're going to mainly take a look at here for the world, what this means for the world. But in order for us to not feel powerless, because we're not powerless, we are participators, we need to understand how we are co-creating in this. We need to understand what our participation is in it, and how we can make the best use of this energy as we enter this new cycle. Because one thing I'll tell you about Gemini, and that this is about choices. The Gemini sign also represents choices, two of. And this is where many of us find ourselves in right now, in this gate of choices. And this is much more like, I know many of us are going through choices a lot in relationships, a lot in, where are we going forward, our work. And yes, these are all very important. I want to encourage you to keep on. We are transforming on many levels, but this is just a small reflection of a much greater transformation that's happening. And this is the transformation of your truths. So when you see choices that are coming up in your life, I feel like I'm already getting to the heart of it here. I haven't even pulled up the charts yet. When you look at the choices in your life, know that these choices actually represent something much greater that is happening in your life. You are reinventing yourself. And you're not the only one. There are billions of people on this planet who are doing the same right now. So in other words, everybody is making choices. People are making choices right now. You're making choices. Everybody's making choices. So what I said on the Facebook classroom group the other day, I said, get out of the way, let people make their choices, and you focus on you. There are some big choices coming, and these choices, they are preparing us for the next cycle that we're going to be treading and walking towards. Now, remember that as we make choices, there are different choices here. And just as Gemini represents choices, Gemini also represents the duality. Thus, we can look at the polarity in the world, and you can see how this is a time like more than ever. The contrast is so big, so big. And it's only going to get bigger. Coffee cheers. It's only going to get bigger. So, the reason for this is that we're transcending duality, we're transcending polarity, we're transcending dimensions, if you want to look at it that way. There's different ways of wording it, there's different ways of experiencing it. There is no right and wrong. This is what I want to emphasize here as well. You have your truth. Keep following your truth. We're going to get to that later in the video. I'm also talking about it in other videos. Very important. But there is a moment right now of choices that is occurring, and there is a big defining of not like this is good, this is bad, like this is just what you want to do and how you want to live your life moving forward. And I'm not talking about living your life as in like, which house you want to live in, or if you're going to do this for work or that for work. I'm talking about the world. I'm talking about the rules and regulations in society, in place. I'm talking about the educational systems that you send your children to. I'm talking about the medical systems that you pay your money to. I'm talking about the presidents that you elect. Do they really reflect the new world that you and I are creating? This is where people are going to make their choices, and this is where Neptune steps in. So back to reality, Neptune comes in here to make things uncertain, to bring the questions, to bring the uncertainty, to bring the dissatisfaction. There are many things that Neptune will bring in this period of time. It's so highlighted. It's been in a square with the whole Gemini activity. We've been looking at it in the different charts. I'm going to pull up the charts here. We can look a little more, but there's a lot of squares coming from Pisces, from Neptune into the whole Gemini activity. And this is the cloudy vision. This is the foggy, the drowsy feelings, sometimes it's blissful, sometimes you're walking on air, and other times you just can't move. And Neptune, can also bring up parts of us that are ready to, maybe parts of us that we've been in denial of, and just not wanting to look at or recognize in our lives. That's another shadow side of Neptune is, the whole escapism and wanting to check out. The ultimate reason why Neptune does that is because it wants to transcend and it wants to check out from this, because it's like, this is not home. Okay. But of course there are filters and there's the spectrum and there are layers and all of that. So we can see Neptune really active in moments of just not wanting to deal with reality, not wanting to deal with, parts of ourself or of our nature, of our personality, of our family, of our whatever. I don't know. You tell me. Everybody's different. So Neptune in Pisces is coming from a different house in everybody's chart. So this is a place where a lot of this can be brought up in your life right now. But there is something to be said with the Pisces energy so active in Neptune that can bring an element of wanting to check out, and not all for the right reasons, not for like wanting to go home entirely, but primarily just because it doesn't want to deal with this. And this is another big one for all of us, just to have like some reality checks and like it's not all about love and light. I've been saying this right and left for such a long time now, like it's not all about love and light. We live in a world of duality, of polarity, and yes, we are learning how to transcend that now, and yes, that's what objectively, this is what the cycle of the North Node in Gemini and South Node in Sagittarius is leading us to. This is the axis of thinking, of communication, of mental process. This is the axis of truth, of expression. So we're having a transformation in that. And we know that for a fact. But, you know, being in this world of duality, polarity, all these things that we're having to look at and having to face the state of so much and having to face like so many things that we already knew for so many years. But it's like, all right, now it's here. Now what? This is going to cause a tremor for some and a trembling for others of a lot of internal foundations and structures that have to do with people's perceptions and beliefs. We are also on an individual level here. Let me add this, coming to terms, since I was talking about the Neptune factor of maybe not wanting to realize certain things. We are on an individual level, also opening up to that. Certain things about our life that maybe we knew, but we never wanted to look at or never wanted to, get close to or admit, or just we never really wanted to look at or deal with. And now we are having to deal with it. And now we are having to look at it. There's also a lot of people here that are experiencing that. Okay. Gonna keep up here with the comments. And many of you are feeling this in the way of, there are very beautiful moments happening here, a lot of healing. There's a lot of recognizing certain things about yourself, about others in your life. And this is allowing, this heart opening that Pisces and Neptune can easily bring. And there's a lot of you that are coming together in new connections, heart unity. And this is so beautiful for me to witness. I'm so blessed to see so many of you come to me and share that. And it's amazing to see how these connections are coming together stronger than ever, which is also another purpose of the North Node in Gemini. And through the coming to terms with certain things about our life, about the way we've conducted certain aspects of our life and so forth, this has been allowing us to just become a little softer, to become more open, and then connect better, with more compassion. And there's a lot of forgiveness happening, and it's very beautiful. I want to encourage this for sure, because this state, this heart space, is the exact heart space you want to go and you want to travel this passageway into. Okay, on June 3rd, we're going to talk about that. We're going to get there. June 3rd, beautiful passage in with the interior conjunction between the Sun and Venus. And then 2 days later, we have a powerful lunar eclipse. This is going to be one of those like segments in time where there's going to be so much happening with so many dimensions and so much participation from a lot. It's not just you, it's not just me. There's a lot converging and happening here. So the best thing you can do is enter this with a soft heart and with a relaxed heart. So forgiveness is a beautiful and powerful way to achieve the state as we transition. And as we come to terms with these things about our life that we may not, we didn't want to look at before, we were in denial, just look at it, recognize it, and then move on. Don't be stuck there. We have cleaned so much, we have healed so much. You recognize certain things. It's not as big as it seems. You can now talk to these people, or you can do your ceremony, do your ritual. We're in a different place right now. In dimensions, in our lives, in the cycles. This is new territory. Our karmas, are and have been for a while now been wiped clean, erased. This is another reason why we're having so much like fog and, memory loss. I'm sure many of you are experiencing, like, you don't even remember what happened last week or a month, like last year, like, what did I do when I was a child again? Like, a lot is being erased. A lot is being, it's like these words don't even fit. It's like recreated. It's not even, this is new territory. This is new territory. So a lot is going. And so even these recognitions that we're coming into, please understand, these recognitions are not meant to pull you into guilt, to pull you into shame. Because this is another part of Neptune and Pisces. That's another shadow side, is that we can feel guilty, we can feel despair, we can feel helpless. This is not about you reliving the stories and saying that this didn't work out because of this and that person did that to you. No. I mean, you can if you want, but this is about you recognizing your life for what it has been so far, looking at yourself with the naked truth. And the Sagittarius South Node is going to help us with that. And the upcoming eclipse on June 5th is going to initiate that process for us. And when Saturn, who is now retrograde in Aquarius, dips back into Capricorn on July 1st, this is going to be showtime. Okay? We're going to be going back to scripts of the old system. But now it's not just the old system of Capricorn. Now we also have the emphasis on the other aspect of the system, which is represented by Jupiter. So now it's not just Saturn, it's Jupiter, the two social planets, and a lot is going to happen. So the choices we make are very important. And this is about you having honest, naked truth with your life up until this point. And not from a standpoint of helplessness or feeling bad, but more for like, okay, what do I want to do next? So we may be coming to terms with, some people are going to be experiencing forgiveness and compassion and heart opening with others. It's a beautiful thing. There are going to be others, and maybe these same people as well, that are going to be looking at our own things that we've been in denial of. One thing about Neptune and about Pisces is that it deals a lot with addictions. And this is one thing that I want to bring up here in this video, is for us to be mindful of that. Because especially as we sit with ourselves for so long in our houses without, contact with other people, this is a time where a lot can happen. Our spiritual experiences can be heightened, and are for the most part for many of us in here. But we also have a lot of room to fall into addictive behaviors. And, this is something very interesting, because I was just talking to a friend about this, and, he was just expressing to me his feeling like, oh my God, like all these things are coming up for me, and these addictions, and I feel so bad, like I know better. I said, you know what? We all have this human journey has been designed to keep us enslaved to certain things, to be addicted to certain things. So yes, we've been co-creating and participating by feeding into it, and this is where now we have the choice. But we are at the cycle right now where we are having to face a lot of these addictions. And, it could be anything, anything. Like, there's so many different types of addictions nowadays, but this is something real. And with Neptune now in the picture, this is something that I want to emphasize here, because we are being given a chance right now to look at what those are. And addictions are hard to break free from, I know, right? It's just like the repetitive nature, the habit. It's so easy for the human being to just do things over and over again, and especially when it brings you a sense of gratification. But I'll tell you what, when you do a little fasting, and when you even if it's small, even if it's for 3 days, for a week, you notice the difference in your body and how you feel and how you can think much more clear without that. And where we're transitioning next, this is something that we want to cultivate, this state of focused awareness. Now, I'm going to be talking about the state of focused awareness a lot in my newsletters. And I will be taking some time off for myself as well. The next video I'm going to come here on YouTube. This is just to let you know. The next video is going to be on the next eclipse. Okay, this is the next eclipse we're going to have. Very powerful one. But I'm going to come back around June 20th, in 2 to 3 weeks from now. And I'm going to be focusing a lot on my newsletter, on my mentorship program, which is where my students are. And also in the Facebook group, the classroom. I will be getting in there every so often. That is a free Facebook group, but it is a very community oriented space, and I enjoy that space. So that's where I'm going to be for these next 2 to 3 weeks, really getting serious with this passage for me. And I recommend you do the same. So that's where you can find me. And if you want to know more about, how to access these states and transitioning into these states with focused awareness, then that's where I'm going to be speaking a lot about this. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to pull up some charts here, and we're going to look at what we are preparing for as we enter this eclipse, and then in preparation for what's to come. And then we're going to come back to a little more of this Neptune, where we're at now, and how we can look at all the, addictions, or, the places where you've been trying to check out and escape from our realities, right? And it's okay. We don't have to escape anymore, because now we're going to be creating new realities. But before creating new realities, we got to deal with what we have here. So we're just growing up. We're just, I was talking about the Gemini being the sign of duality. We can also look at it as polarity, and we are in a dimension of polarity. And as we transition into other dimensions, or however you want to look at it, we no longer only are bound by the duality factor. And yes, we understand, and yes, that can also be a part, but it's not just duality. So, there are other levels of co-creation, and there are other dimensions, and we're just learning about it. So right now we're learning that we don't have to live anymore in a state of duality. We can make choices now, and we can create in light of those choices. Up until now, it's been very polarized, and this is why the contrast is so big right now. The contrast is very big right now because we are about to make choices and then transition. So this, up until now, let's say it's been kind of a one-sided thing here. Like, how I was talking about the addiction factor, and okay, we have so much, subliminal messages and just messages from all over the place, wanting to, bringing these messages of addiction to everything you could possibly imagine, and really helping us shape our reality here. And so this has been very one-sided for many years. But now this is changing. And now we are being given, yes, the free will back. We are going to start to experience ourselves as creators. And this is what the North Node in Gemini is bringing to us. I go in depth about this on the little super adorable, powerful course that I have. I say it's adorable because it's just a little package, and it's, it's a short little webinar, but it's got a bonus audio with the lunar nodes through all the 12 houses. And it talks about the co-creation that began in 2017 with the total solar eclipse that happened in August 2017. Super powerful. And how that's coming to life now, right now, with the North Node in Gemini. And how we are bridging that. So I help you understand that, because that's happening in 2 different areas of your life. And individually, you're bridging these themes together so that you can walk into this transition as the creator that you are. That's the purpose of I know so many of you in here got this course, so you know what I'm talking about. And once you understand that, then it's not like just a cute little, oh, what's going to happen in my week type of thing. Now it's like, I'm a creator now. What am I doing? So we are experiencing ourselves as creators, but we're still in the very, very, very initial stages here. And we're going to, as we experience ourselves as creator, we are going to experience the power of our creations and the seriousness of how, when we are feeling down and upset and angry, we also manifest that. That comes with being a creator. And this is why it's not like, oh, they've been the bad guys keeping all this away from us. All this information and enslaving us to all this addiction. It's just that we have steps to get to a place where we can physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually or whatever understand what it means to be a creator. Then when we reach that level of capacity, when the polarity has done its job, it's just a part of this, we're learning this. And then when we reach that, we're like, okay, I get it. So now let's explore, let's try. Then okay, then you don't have to be bound by the polarity, bound by the duality, bound by the, so this does require a level of understanding, taking responsibility, knowing that like, no, it's not like, not all about them. It's not like, let's stop pointing fingers. Yes, there's something that's going to play out big time in the world. And yes, things are going to happen, but it's not about them. It's not about this versus this. This is about understanding that we're creators now. And some people are going to choose that path and explore that. And other people are going to choose the comfortable path, which is, no, this is the way that I've been doing it for these, X amount of years that I've been here in this little human journey. And I want to continue doing it this way. And I still have hope and faith that everything's going to go back to how it was and it was working for me. And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to keep doing that. That's what's happening right now. And there is a break in between worlds, and we've seen so many movies and people and documentaries, and like so many people have already talked about this. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting phase we're in. We're being allowed the opportunity to see this for what it is, and not only take responsibility, but also choose what we want. Choose. And in order to choose, there's one thing that, in my opinion, we need. That is like the most important thing of all to make choices. Clarity. Clarity. So this goes back to the focused awareness that we're learning how to develop now. And this is why things that are keeping us addicted or whatever, like, maybe it's not even the thing per se, like maybe you're addicted to books or reading or, astrology. But this is about like you recognizing that you have free will now. And maybe, just maybe, there are new worlds to explore. There are new facets of yourself that you are ready to dive into and to experience and express. And that's what I teach you on the course on the North Node in Gemini, Finding Your Purpose in This Next Cycle. That's the name of it. North Node in Gemini, Finding Your Purpose in This Next Cycle. Okay, I'm going to put the link as soon as I'm done because I forgot to include it here now, but the people watching the replay will see it. Let's look at our charts and let's look a little bit at these incredible things that are lining up for us. So here we have June 3rd, okay? Give me just a moment here so I can catch my breath. Here we have June 3rd. And this is the beautiful moment here. If you look, 13 Gemini, 1336 Gemini is the place where this interior conjunction takes place between Venus and the Sun. Now, if you want to understand really the power of this conjunction and even what it means in the technical sense and what they're doing in the sky, I have all my latest videos here on YouTube as well as on Facebook. They've been all talking about this sacred, incredible conjunction that they're having. Just everything that it entails and the focus in Gemini, and like there's just so much happening. And I've been going really in depth about this, especially in relationship to our partners and partnerships and connections and heart matters. This is very, very, very beautiful, and I've been talking a lot about this, but I'm going to focus more now on the esoteric side of it and in preparation, the energetic preparation for what's to come. So if you do want to know more about those little details, please check out the other videos, okay? There's only so much I can say in, 5 hours? I'm just kidding. We're not going to be here for 5 hours, but there's only so much I can say in an hour and a half. And there's definitely a lot to cover. So this is happening on June 3rd. And this interior conjunction between the Sun and Venus in and of itself is a very, very, very special time. This is a time where we feel very tender This is a very intimate and sacred moment, and we may feel tender because of this expression taking place, and the reflection of this, we're connected with it. This is a co-creation. And so Venus's influence in our life, in the sky, the sun, all of that coming together in this really powerful, powerful, tender moment. Oh, I'm trying to go frozen in time. This beautiful moment that's happening right now as we speak. Beautiful moment between the sun and Venus is being reflected in our experience here, and we're co-creating this together. We all have little aspects and holograms and parts of us that is just a part of everything. And so this connection, this intimate moment between Venus and the sun that is happening, they're creating a very tender, fertile soil and ground here for us to experience a new beginning. Now, anything that comes together in a conjunction, think of the sun and the moon. When the sun and the moon come together, what is that? It's a new moon, right? It's a new moon. And the new moon represents new fertile soil, new fertile ground to create. Now, I know this is tricky because I know, like, where does our free will come in, right? Do we have free will? I talk extensively about this in my videos and the mentorship program as well, where I teach my students about astrology. And there is a big moment that you cross here where you're like, do we have free will or not? When you really start to learn astrology, that's like one of the first questions that you ask, and you're like, do we have free will or not? But anyway, I just want to say that I cover all of that over there, and it is a very interesting topic to explore. But keeping it short and simple here, the astrological alignments, they show us a context. I call it a context. And these contexts, they're not things that are being imposed on us, as a lot of us view. These have to do with greater forces that we call cycles. Okay? And there are many other forces as well, like gravity is one of them, right? Magnetic, the magnetic pull between the planets and the interaction that happens, like these are all other forces. And so, like, we're not the only ones in the universe. Like, it's not all about us. So there's a lot happening, and it's a co-creation. So what happens is that these greater cycles, these greater forces, they are also experiencing, co-creating with us, through us, and so forth. And so we have these cycles that are locked in place. These cycles. And these cycles, they create contexts for us to live our journey and our experience. And that serves our purpose, because we here, like this part of our expression, is here to experience evolution, growth, expansion, awareness. So the cycles, they contribute to that. They help us with that. And within these cycles, I talked a little bit how certain configurations are locked in place, and then we can read the cycles, predict the future. These overrated words. I'm telling you, I really hope astrology is one of the first things to like just open up and change after the second semester. So much is going to change, but I feel our astrology communities are going to start upping their games as well, because astrology is a lot more than it's been presented to the public. And when we understand about these greater forces that are co-creating with us, and how we can not only understand but also co-create together respectfully in pro of our growth and evolution, we see there's no separation. There's no competition. There's only creation. So we're here creating within the context, and the alignment creates contexts. So we have free will to create within these contexts. We have free will to create within the cycles that we're in. Now, yes, there are many that are reaching a state of transcendence from, certain dimensions, and this is really a state of being, a state of awareness. You can be physically here or not. Different dimensions is really a state of being. And many of us, that as we transition into other dimensions, we open up to new contexts and new cycles. And this is where I am fascinated to see where astrology is going to go. So, but right now, these are the cycles and the context that we are working with. And the one on June 3rd is really highlighting this very tender and intimate moment to create. So here we go back again to the fact of the importance of being a creator. Okay? This is us learning that we're creators. This is us learning that we have free will now. We have the ability to make choices, and if we choose fear, we're going to keep manifesting it. If we choose stress, we're going to keep broadcasting that. So even the state of the world right now, this is all of us contributing collectively with our perceptions, and it's okay that it's been fed to us. It's okay that it's not been all of our fault. Remember I said in the beginning, let it go. This is about recognizing, okay? We don't want to be in denial of certain things. This is about recognizing. We recognize it, but don't fall into guilt. Don't stay there. Oh, it was about them. Oh, how could I have been so dumb? Oh, no. Let it go. You're a grown-up now. Now you're understanding, oh, okay. You're just seeing more. You're just seeing more. And you will continue to see more by the time this nodal passage is done. In early 2022, when the Sagittarius South Node and North Node in Gemini are going to have done their job, you're going to see what I mean. And your perceptions are going to be so different. So it's like, how soon are you ready to let go of all these old perceptions, old beliefs, old ways of doing things? Yes, we have to recognize it. Like, it's not all about love and light. It's not all about just whoops, wiping the slate clean and not even looking at it. Like, we have to see what we have here so far. We have to look at some things. But then, all right, what do I want to do next? And this interior conjunction happening on June 3rd is a perfect time to do that. Perfect time. Okay? This is a time that not only we're having this really powerful, magnetic, energetic convergence taking place between these two conscious beings. They're creating a portal for us to reassess our values, our nature of desire, our relationships, and all those beautiful, sweet, good old things that we always talk about Venus retrograde. And I just can't help but look at what's really happening here. And, to support this, we have the moon in Scorpio. The fact that the moon is in Scorpio, this is such a deep sign, my God. When it comes to esoteric things, it's all about Scorpio. Scorpio holds the magic, the depth, all the things that are just, from the unseen, unspoken, the taboo, the deep, the underworld. This is where we do a lot of the subconscious work. It's in Scorpio. Scorpio holds the esoteric knowledge, the waters of spirit on a very, very magical level and very powerful as well. This is about going deep and not being afraid to look at what there is to be seen, to see what there is to be seen. But this is also helping and assisting. It's binding together the other two water elements. And, Bobo, you're saying your vertex is at 14 Scorpio. People that have anything in these, look, I'm pulling up these charts and these things that I talk about, okay, 13 Gemini. Right now we're talking about the moon. Afterwards we're going to talk about Neptune, Pisces, Mars. If you have anything here, man, pay attention to that. Go research what vertex point is, or join our classroom. I have videos in there, the mentorship program, other parts of your chart. This is highlighted for you. These are parts of your personality, of your journey, that are very much highlighted and being brought into the theme and the script of what you're going through and what you're creating next. So the moon in Scorpio is uniting the other three water elements, which is really, really, really helping to anchor in the spiritual element in all of this. Okay, this is really going to help us, and especially now with Mercury in Cancer. Mercury is our perception, our thought patterns, the way that we view and understand and assimilate information, and how we interact with the world on a mental level. And the fact that Mercury is in Cancer, which is another water sign, really helping us tap into the flows of spirit. This is very helpful, very beautiful, very supportive of this portal that we're in. And then, of course, Neptune, and of course Mars as well, which we're going to talk about soon. This whole Pisces energy is bringing a lot of uncertainty and a lot of drowsiness, but it's also contributing to the lifting of the veils so that we can enter this space with as much assistance as we possibly can have. We are having celestial assistance over here to go through this. And the connection between all the water elements in this grand water trine is very, very beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take out my video from here, because this is what I want to show you. This is very important. Do you see these blue lines over here creating the grand trine? This is the grand trine that is connecting all the water elements, and it's really, really, really making them like a strong team. These are a strong team in the cycle, the water, the spirit, the lifting of the veils. Now, yes, Neptune is in a hard, very hard placement with a lot of the rest of the script, but it's only because it's contributing to us coming to terms with certain things, and then, of course, experiencing ourselves as creators in about 1.5 to 2 years from now. Some sooner, others later. This is a whole cycle. We have this amount of time to understand about it and learn about it. So, and this is why I'm so committed and so devoted to explaining this to you in such great depth and having you understand this. And it's really just because this is so important and it's so real, and we're creating this right now. And having the help and the assistance from these water elements, Mercury, our mind, our thought, the moon holding space for us right at that passage point in Scorpio. And then, of course, the energy in Pisces here, this is all just really supporting the momentum of spirit to come through as we are carried into this new passage. Now, this also can amplify emotions. So this is where we want to be careful here, because emotions can be very dangerous right now. Very dangerous. Why? We are in foggy territory. We are letting go of so much in our lives. We are losing so much in our lives. We are having to come to terms with so much in our lives. We feel disoriented. Many of us feel tired. Many of us feel disoriented. Many of us feel helpless. And in that wave of uncertainty, there can be a lot of emotions that come in. And when we have, and I talked about this in my last video, please watch it. If you're a part of the free Facebook group called Raquel Springs Astrology Classroom, please watch the last video I did yesterday. Was it yesterday? Called Pre-Eclipse Astrology Updates. That's what it's called. It's such a powerful video. I go so in depth about this over there. So in depth, and I give tips as well. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about, those of you here. But if you have emotions, when we have emotions that come into the picture, and we're going through a complete transformation, It is very easy to let our emotions during Pisces season, during all this Neptune square and all that, to get the best of us, and then it distorts our experience. It distorts a lot of our interactions with others. It distorts our perception. And so then that's the danger with the sign, is that we can be pulled into the rabbit hole and feel lost and feel like a victim and feel helpless and feel angry and feel, all those things. So we want to be careful here. We have a lot of support in the water element, and it can go either way for people. Again, this is about choices. This is where Gemini, the focus in Gemini, comes in. This is choices, choices, choices. Even the interior conjunction between the Sun and Venus at 13 Gemini. Gemini. There are lots of important choices on the line over here. And you want to make sure that your emotions are not the ones controlling the direction of your choices. It's one thing to feel. Through feeling, we can access our intuition in our other centers. But emotions, that's where a lot of the programming can come in. The automatic, oh, I'm happy because of this. Oh, now I'm not happy because of this. Emotions can be dangerous. And that's one thing that you have to be careful, especially with Mercury in Cancer, because Mercury in Cancer can definitely, when it gets sensitive and offended, blow things out of proportion, make a big deal about things, feel, like the victim. Mercury in Cancer can do that. And Mercury is going to be stationing retrograde soon. Yes, Mercury is going to be stationing retrograde in Cancer. So this is an energy here that we are going to have to be very mindful of. And again, this is why focused awareness is so important. We're going to be faced with these scenarios, and now we are learning how to be creators, and so we can't get away anymore with just, I'm obsessed, so I'm going to go turn on the TV, or I'm going to go out and drink with my friends and start numbing ourselves, and all these things that we used to do before is like, now we have to face it, and like, what are we going to do? So all the energy in water is helping us, is here to assist us with tapping into these intuitive states. And in the realms of spirit. But they're also going to show us the places in our lives where we tend to run on our emotions. And because the contrast is greater right now, we're going to find out right away, very fast, when the choices we make are reflecting with the world we are creating or not. So pay attention to your emotions. And as we go through this beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous space here with this, interior conjunction, we are going to be primed to plant new seeds, where we are going to be creating very powerful new sets of values for us, of where we're going next. This is a very, very, very powerful for many reasons. It's not just another conjunction. Every interior conjunction between the Sun and Venus is a very tender moment, very powerful. But this one here is unique, very unique. And so take advantage of this opportunity to highlight the sacred, beautiful moment here. Only 2 days later, here we go, 2 days later, June 5th. Look at what we have going on here. The Sagittarius eclipse. Again, highlighting, obviously, this conjunction, because this is the exact same area where the conjunction happened between the Sun and Venus, and then the moon, bam, over here, highlighting this conjunction, but also signaling showtime for the South Node. So this is going to be a really big moment, because on June 5th, we officially enter this segment of the next 6 months ahead. And as you can see here in the chart, let me take out my video for a minute, because I do want you to see some of these alignments in here and some of these aspects, okay? Once the moon enters Sagittarius on June 5th, there's going to be a lot happening, and we're not going to dissect everything. Obviously, there's way too much to cover. But I do want to tell you that there's going to be some very important things happening to the world. First of all, we have to keep in mind that as the moon enters Sagittarius on this eclipse, the Sagittarius lunar eclipse, it's going to be the first eclipse of a series of eclipses that we're going to start having in Gemini Sagittarius. Okay? We're going to have a series of eclipses, especially next year. And this is the first one in Sagittarius. And it's important for us all, as we are grown-ups now, we're no longer children, and we are ready to be aware and be responsible creators and see what's happening. Let's look at what the cycles are showing us. This incredible language of the stars. So when the moon enters Sagittarius, and we have this full moon and lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, it's also going to be igniting the script of the South Node. Now, the bigger cycle in all of this, well, one of the bigger cycles, is the lunar nodes. And I explain why on my lunar node course, Finding Your Purpose in the Next Cycle. And the North Node in Gemini is denoting the cycle that we are collectively heading toward. And the South Node denotes the cycle that we are releasing, that we are letting go of. We've reached a point of fruition. You know, the South Node, let me explain to you that the South Node in astrology, it represents a part of our journey that we've reached the full experience of it. It's come to a point of, full awareness. It's been overemphasized. We've gotten to the peak of that. So, an example of this, before the South Node entered Sagittarius, which this just happened like almost a month ago, 5th of May, wasn't that long ago. Before that, the South Node was in Capricorn. And it's important to remember that because this Capricorn energy is going to be coming to the script as well. So with the South Node in Capricorn for a year and a half prior to that, was really, really slowly just trembling and eroding the foundations of our systems in place. Why is that? Because the current systems in place have come to a point of ultimate, all right, we've served its purpose. The purpose of the systems in place was for this. Wow. I think they even overused their time. It definitely came to a point of fruition, culmination, overachievement, being overemphasized, and now with the South Node in Capricorn, well, not now, but for the last 2 years, this is what we've been dealing with. The South Node in Capricorn has been helping us become aware, because that's what it does. The South Node brings things. It's like the full moon effect. The full moon where it's just like it's so obvious, it's so apparent. So the full moon and the eclipse, that's what it brings. It brings that energy of like something is overflowing. That theme is just like apparent and obvious. And the South Node brings that quality as well. So we have been working with the South Node in Capricorn for the last 2 years. And it's really been helping us be aware of all the energy from the structures and foundations of the system that have served its purpose, but are ready to be, not even recycled, but just now we're creators and we're new, we're going to create now what the new structures are going to look like. And it's going to be a process, but hey, we're not going anywhere. Our soul doesn't die. And this is what we're here for. And as we do that, lots of other magical things happen too. So we have the South Node holding this, the nature of the South Node is to be something that has come to its full view, and now it's ready to be transmuted. And the South Node in Capricorn was doing that to the structures and foundations of our life, wherever Capricorn was in for you. Again, the North Node in Gemini course, Finding Your Purpose in this Next Cycle, will help you understand what area of life that was for you. All you have to do is find out where Capricorn was in your chart, or is, And Capricorn is the area that has been working in your life in recreating these structures, recreating your own internal foundations. And it's a very deep thing. And on May 5th, the South Node changed from Capricorn to Sagittarius. And that is an interesting thing because Capricorn and Sagittarius, these two signs, they belong to the archetype of Saturn, which is the ruler of Capricorn, and Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius. And these two rulers, Jupiter, Saturn and Jupiter, they are the significators of social constructs. Even in a natal chart, like Jupiter in your natal chart will show you how you can best achieve physical mastery in this world. Where you can, this is like where you can leave your legacy, plant your roots, be that source of like credibility, and have your business card, like this is what I do, this is what I'm good at. Saturn and Jupiter are all about the structures and foundations of our social and economic society. So with all the focus with the South Node really focusing on Capricorn, Saturn, which is one part of the system, society. And now it's entering the other part, which is Sagittarius. And Jupiter, as we're going to see now, this is what we're going to see next, is so emphasized. And this is where we get the two parts of our matrix. And now, and especially after Saturn goes back into Capricorn, because he's retrograde right now. Remember how I said on July 1st, he enters Capricorn. When he does that, this is really going to condense the energy there on the script of our social structures. Very much so. Right now, Saturn is in Aquarius, and, we're dealing a lot with, Aquarius themes and a lot of, the social distancing aspect and all of that. Well, when Saturn re-enters Capricorn, and is going to stay there for the rest of the year, this is going to bring a lot of themes with society to the fore. So this is where we're going to see a lot of masks starting to fall. This is where a lot of truth is going to start coming out. A lot is going to be revealed. There's going to be a lot of even possible disclosures that will come from this. And I'm only saying this because, we are looking at the language of the stars here. We are looking at the next 6 months. But this is also, I want to remind you that we are participating in this. This is not about them, oh my God, them versus them, oh, I knew it. And this is a time where you want to, every time that you see something else out there happening, these next 6 months, know that this is a reflection of you. You are doing the work. These things are coming up now to be seen, like I said, and it's not about looking at it and getting stuck in it. Oh, you did this, you did that. No, let it come up. This is the part where it's going to be difficult for some of us. We can be in denial or not want to look at some things. This is about facing certain things about ourselves, and this is going to be reflected globally as well. And this is what the next 6 months point toward. And as the things happen on the outside, know that they are a reflection of the change that we're going through. And always remembering that we are looking forward. We are creators. Okay? When you look back, when you look at who hurt you, who did that to you, why you're feeling that way, why you're in the situation now, that's the past. That's the past. It's not a very empowering place to be in. Not very empowering place to be in. It serves its purpose. It gives you perspective. It helps you achieve wisdom so you can make choices moving forward. But the intention is to move forward. Because if you stay stuck in the past, you're not really going to experience yourself as the full creator that you are. You're going to be a victim to your past, to your stories, and everything else around you. that is based on that. So as things come up in these next 6 months, look at it. It needs to come up. The contrast needs to be great right now because we are making choices. This is where we're going to see more than ever. I already talked about this so many times in my recent videos. The Sagittarius South Node is bringing a wave of not only our own internal belief systems and structures are going to be trembled for some and rattled and shaken for others, but this is going to be a collective thing for other people as well and for the world. We may see this reflected in different places of the government, different places of society. This archetype of Sagittarius, Jupiter, this holds a lot of government positions. This is a very, this is any place that holds a lot of people together. And this is why we always hear about churches. Of course, Sagittarius is also faith, beliefs, but churches, religion, any place where we have a lot of people together, and even government systems in place, whatever they are. It depends on the other alignments. Sometimes it will be with the financial, other times it will be with educational, especially with all the focus in Gemini as well. There's going to be a lot of government institutions. That's the word I was looking for. Government institutions that are going to start to feel this in big ways. With the Capricorn energy, Capricorn is more about the law, the officials, it's a different aspect of society. It definitely has a lot to do with the actual foundations of the society. And the archetype of Jupiter in Sagittarius has to do with the institutions that revolve around the foundations. See why Jupiter and Saturn work together? And that's how they hold the economic and the societal structures of our matrix in place. Capricorn, Sagittarius, Jupiter, Saturn. So when you see a big fat transformational Pluto in the picture, with Jupiter, with Saturn throughout this entire year, which is going to be emphasized to the nth degree on these next 6 months, what do you think is coming up? The structures of our system, as well as the institutions that revolve around it, are going through a big transformation. And these next 6 months is going to be really interesting. And you see how astrology is not even that difficult to understand. When you understand the principles, Saturn, Jupiter, society, it's fascinating to see how all these components work together and speaking a language here. I often I like to think of astrology as like hieroglyphics and just different languages, like from ancient times, that are not with letters, right? It's just like pictures or symbols. But in that, there can be a book or more volumes of books of information. And that's kind of what astrology is. Astrology is like an imprint of just certain symbols. We use symbols and glyphs, right? But actually they're much greater forces, but that speak of so many things. So right now what's happening with the lunar eclipse that's coming up is that we are initiating the script of Sagittarius. This is starting right now, becoming active, becoming alive, Sagittarius. And as that happens, we also activate its ruler, Jupiter. So Jupiter is in a really interesting journey right now because he is retrograde together with Pluto. But there will be the official, one more conjunction here, the second one happening. I wrote down the dates. I'm not going to get too into dates right now because this is coming up. Hasn't happened. I'm talking here mainly about the eclipse, but I want you to know that I don't want to move the chart around too much here. This is what we're looking at. Jupiter and Pluto are going to stay conjuncted, okay, for the rest of the year. This is really powerful until Jupiter finally leaves Capricorn and enters Aquarius together with Saturn, bringing all of this to a culmination in December 21st, okay? So up until then, until December 21st, Jupiter is going to be tightly hugging Pluto. And it has been already for the first half of the year. But guess what? Jupiter wasn't the ruler of the South Node for the first half of the year. So, just reading the comments here. The 30th. Is it the 30th where we... No, who said the 30th? Anyway, so now that the South Node is in Sagittarius, now Jupiter is going to start holding that megaphone of his and start really pumping some stuff here. Together with Pluto. I mean, I've been talking about this combination of Jupiter and Pluto. Like, this is the ultimate power combination that you can possibly think of. You know? And this is power one way or the other. Because Jupiter is known for blowing things up, for amplifying, for magnifying, for expanding things. You know, Jupiter is considered a second sun. And you got a big guy like that is holding the language, the part of the language that represents our institutions and our government. And by the way, this archetype also represents the military, okay? This archetype of Sagittarius, ninth house is where you see military. There are a lot of government officials and bodies within the government that you know, remember, this archetype is a lot of people together, groups of people. So this also has to do with the government, you know, peaks, where a lot of these, you know, where these peaks are that hold the foundation. You know, you have the law, you have all the forefathers that set up everything in place, and then you have the leaders, the, you know, the big names, the banks, all these peaks, and the military is one of them. And with Pluto there in the picture, you know, Pluto is only concerned with one thing: exposing the soul. And it does that by bringing, and it doesn't care who's in its way. Pluto will bring the deepest urges of the soul. And Pluto is bringing quite an urge right now collectively to us. It's a very sobering message. And whatever this urge is, Jupiter is together with it, amplifying the script and really bringing to full view, full disclosure to us what we're ready to look at. Now, Saturn is not too far ahead in the game because, you know, July 1st, Saturn is going to be dipping back into Capricorn, reigniting the Capricorn script. You know, Saturn has been in Capricorn for the last 3 years, and it's been really intense. Saturn has been really contributing to all this. And now Saturn is going to dip back into Capricorn, but this time is going to be different because now Jupiter is the ruler of the South Node. So this is all going to take place for the entire rest of the year. And it's quite a power combo, quite a script that we're having here. Quite an intense releasing, coming to terms with certain things, having to just look at a lot of things in our life collectively. And in the meantime, what's going to happen in the next 6 months is the other factor that is going to contribute is Mars. So as of the lunar eclipse, Mars is going to become really active in the realms of Pisces and, of course, Neptune, which we already talked about. So this is one of the reasons why I like to give all these big, in-depth, long explanations in the beginning, is because then when we get to the chart, we get to these things, I just go bam, 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 we start piecing it together. So this, from the lunar eclipse on, know that Mars is going to be igniting that script in Pisces and Neptune, and this is going to amplify the realms of spirit, you know, the thinning of the veils. All of our spiritual experiences are going to amplify even more. So dreams, all of that, especially with Mercury and Cancer, we're going to have a lot of activity in the realms of perceptions and spirit and just becoming aware. It's not like anything mystical or magical. We're going to come to see very soon. It's not anything like this is part of our new reality. We're just opening up to more now, including our own gifts. So as we continue to open up to more, Mars is also amplifying the confusion, the uncertainty, the despair. You know, and when Mars goes and ignites Neptune, this can also ignite some situations for the world. And when Mars comes together with Neptune, this is going to be we're going to be closing the month of June here. This is going to be around the 20th of June. And that whole week from the 20th to the 27th, 29th of June, it's going to be really intense with that Neptunian vibe. And this is going to start triggering a lot for the world. This is going to start bringing in a new wave for the world. When Mars finally leaves Pisces, which is going to coincide beautifully with Venus stationing direct, the energy is going to be forward for a big part. I know we still have a lot of planets retrograde, but what I mean is like our rest time is going to be over. And that's why I keep saying take advantage of this month, rest, be in those states, make your choices, be aligned with the highest heart here, and be in the flow, because after this, at the end of June, 20th of June, by that time we're going to be having our second eclipse, which is where we're going to have our next video here on YouTube. And that eclipse is going to bring a lot of new energy. And what you are seeing over here is a Mars who, when he leaves Pisces, okay, where's Mars? Here's Mars. Mars leaves Pisces and enters Aries. And this is where we're really going to see a lot amplifying, okay, guys? This is where we're going to see a lot amplifying, because when Mars enters Aries, it's going to conjunct Chiron, it's going to conjunct Black Moon Lilith. As it does that, we also have the Sun, who's going to be in Cancer, together with Mercury. Of course, Mercury's already in Cancer right now, but this means that we're going to start having squares from Mars to Cancer, to the Sun, to Mercury. So here we're going to start seeing some activity build up. And then, of course, as Mars keeps going here and conjuncts Black Moon Lilith, conjuncts Eris, this whole thing over here is going to be really powerful, really potent, because he is going to be, look at this, here's Mars over here. He's going to be doing this in a square with the Capricorn bunch. Now, we talked about this Capricorn bunch, and this is the South Node, the ruler of the South Node, the ex-ruler of the South Node, very much alive. And who's sandwiched in between? Good old Pluto, the voice of the soul. And we have all of this going on, and who is trying to war and battle all of this here is all the energy coming from Aries. Now, this may very well also be people, you and I, just a lot of people feeling this is going to lift up a lot of things. It's going to be a lot of people protesting or just doing and projecting. And the contrast is going to be big. Let's just put it that way. Worldwide, globally, God knows. We're talking here about the two massive components for our society, and Pluto sandwiched in the middle, and Mars in a square with them for the rest of the year. For this segment of the year at least, until fall. And this is going to be powerful, because not only is Saturn here triggering all of this, really waking this up in a defiant square, which is very, very intense, but he's going to station retrograde right at what is it, 28 degrees Aries? I wrote it down here. Yeah, 28 degrees Aries. Mars is going to station retrograde. This is going to happen on September 10th. So from September 10th to November 12th, Mars is going to retrograde, and he's going to cover this 15 to 28 Aries. And 15 to 28 Aries is exactly where everything is happening here in Capricorn. So the retrograde for Mars is really going to be highlighting and underlining and emphasizing and overemphasizing the transformation that's going to be occurring over here. Okay, so this is going to be quite something. And then finally, when it leaves all this, in November, and then finally in December, it's going to be out of Aries. This is going to ease up a lot of the whole Capricorn thing, okay? And then we're going to have that incredible conjunction here that's going to take place, this conjunction over here that's going to take place. So after all the commotion, see, here is here is Aries. After all the commotion, oh, Mars is still in, I think I got the wrong dates here. Oh, okay, it's retrograde from September to November 12th, but it really only leaves Aries at the end of the year. Okay, so it's going to be in Aries for a long time. But as we approach the end of this Mars retrograde, look at this third and final cross here that like Mars is crossing here on this 23-degree Aries, right conjunct Eris, and in a perfect square with Pluto. But at the same time, we're going to have this incredible conjunction from Jupiter and Saturn. So we have the two planets of social and economic restructuring of the world that are going to be entering a new sign together. So this is going to change the script drastically for the world. This is going to be a big event. For me, the whole entire year is revolving around this date. Okay? So as we get closer to it, we'll talk more about it. But this is definitely going to bring a reset. Like, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be definitely the beginning of a new cycle here. So, and see how, like, look at that Mercury and the Sun, you know, just look at that a day before or just a few hours before they were in this conjunction here. Man, this is so powerful, this superior conjunction. It's going to be a powerful time. But then we're going to open next year with Mars finally leaves and eases up the Aries activity. But as it does so, it enters Taurus. So we are going to enter next year, January 2021. Okay, now we don't have the whole battle between the Aries energy and the Capricorn energy. Parentheses, read between the lines. This is very interesting. Capricorn and Aries in battle with each other. Okay, these are much greater forces that are operating here, and there's definitely battles going on different directions. But anyway, after this battle phase is over here, for the most part, I know we still have Pluto here, but now Jupiter and Saturn are no longer here, so we're going to be slightly in a different script. Mars is going to enter Taurus. And when Mars enters Taurus, guess who's right up ahead here? Uranus, Black Moon, Lilith, in the sign of Taurus, which can very easily represent money as well. So it's going to indicate another cycle, okay? Another phase of our cycle. And for the entire month of January, February, it's going to be all about Taurus and Uranus and Taurus. And I truly, as an astrologer, I get asked all the time, like, when is this going to be over? And, you know, I'm going to tell you that I don't see any calming down until next March. Things will change a little bit January, February, after the social planets enter Aquarius. There is going to be a slightly different focus on the script. But I also want to tell you that, like, we're still going to be dealing with a lot of the aftermath, and there's going to be a lot to come. March, April, those heavy alignments start to, dissipate, and we start to have new alignments, and so the focus starts to go in other directions. So what I want to tell you here is that right now we are in a very tender and intimate moment, preparing to plant seeds for our journey in the months ahead. Now, our participation in all of this is that this is being a platform for us to experience our evolution and our growth. And a big part of our evolution and our growth right now has to do with the creator factor. The fact that we are discovering ourselves in new levels of creation. For this reason, the veils are thinning. Messages are becoming more apparent, more clear. Telepathy is rising, right? We're just feeling everything on such a greater level of awareness. And this is happening for a reason, because we are preparing to see more so we can create more. Now, being a creator doesn't only mean that, it's like a kid that wants to be an adult, right? It's like the kid that can't wait until they're an adult. Why? Because the adult gets to do this, and the adult gets to do that, and the adult can drive, and the adult can leave the house when it wants to. But little does the child know that along with those benefits comes a lot of responsibility. How many of us now that are adults that we look back and we're like, oh man, I wish I never said that. I could so easily go back to being a child, the bliss of being a child. But when we're children, it's like we want to be adults. And it's just part of the analogy that I want to use here, in the sense that we always want to have control of our reality. We want to have control of our destiny. We want to create. But how many people are really ready to create on that level? This requires a level of maturity that we are only scratching the tip of the surface of the iceberg here of what we're capable of. And this, goes all the way from our thoughts and our emotions and the way that we view things and people in reality and see ourselves as separate. He did this, I did that. First things first, if we want to play with the big boys and the big toys, we got to learn a few little things here first. We got to learn that, telepathy is such a big part right now. And this is why the empathy is being also amplified through the Pisces, through the Neptune. Because when we have telepathy, we realize not only that we're all one, but hey, we don't have secrets. People can hear us. People can see us. People can see right through your energy, through your eyes, through your very soul, through your very being. If you are aligned with your essence, if you are clear, if you are coming from a place of balance, of love, now words alone are not going to be enough. More and more, we're already becoming like that, but more and more, people are not going to be able to guise themselves with these masks. The masks are going to fall, trust me. By this time next year, there's going to be a lot of different people, or the same people that are standing are going to be very different. A lot is going to change. And we are right now in a phase where we're going to watch all that dissolve, watch all that go down, and us ourselves as well. So how I want to end this webinar here with is to let you know that the veils are coming down. They are going to lift, because we are at a part of the process where we are no longer needing other people or other mouthpieces of God, or and I just do this not to validate them, but just because there's different languages and labels to express. They can call whatever you want to call, even the avatars, all the way from the avatars to the church, to the government, all these mouthpieces of God. This is what Sagittarius represents. This is what Jupiter represents, the ninth house, that whole archetype. It represents the mouthpiece, the God's mouthpiece. So all these sources of God, the God's mouthpiece, we are learning now. This is the message I want to leave you with. We're learning that we can get the message ourselves. We can see what is best for our life next. We know, not because now I'm an adult, I don't need you anymore, mom and dad. But this comes with being a responsible creator. You just start to see more. You start to become aware of more. So, this is where communication comes in, relationship comes in, Venus retrograde, we're reevaluating our sources of pleasure in our life. Taking a good hard look at our addictions, what has been preventing us from being the next level creator that we're ready to be. All those themes that are coming up with all these eclipses, Venus retrograde, like all these individual things, they're helping us with this. We're ready to take the next step here. And for this reason, you may notice in your life from this point on that the old books, the old teachers, the old way of doing things no longer appeal to you the way they did before. Even books on the avatars. I was gushing over this book that I was reading on Paramahansa Yogananda. It was such a turning point in my life. These incredible, beautiful beings that came here, but they only came here to pave the way for this moment. From this point forward, this is new territory for us. These beautiful masters and avatars and teachers and even religion and even faith, all of them, they have done their role, their purpose. They have fulfilled their purpose. They have brought us here to these gates. And now we stand here at these gates prior to this incredible conjunction, June 3rd, Sun and Venus, followed by 2 days later, June 5th, Sagittarius lunar eclipse. This is where all of this has brought us to. And now we're standing here in these gates, crossing these gates as responsible creators. And yes, we are going to come to terms. We're going to realize certain things that some are going to be nice, some are going to be blissful, beautiful, amazing, incredible, and others are going to be hard to look at. But it's okay. We are having the naked truth. This is about the deep truth, naked truth, and seeing it all for what it is, not judging it, just being a grown-up about it. Okay? All right, this is what it is. What can we do? And then make choices that are in alignment with where we are going moving forward. We are having elections take place soon as well. And this is all culminating with there's a massive buildup happening there in October, November. Massive buildup. Right around time of elections. What are we going to do? Are we going to choose between one or the other again that we've been doing for thousands of years? Are we going to stay in the whole duality, polarity thing? Like having to choose one or the other? Of all these parties and however you call it? I don't know. I've never voted in my life. I don't care. I don't care. They're all just two polarities of the same thing. So what are we going to do here? Seriously. What is the educational system that we want to put our children in next year when everything goes back to normal, whatever that is? Are we really going to go back to having... I was just talking to a parent the other day and she was like, you know what, Raquel, now that the quarantine is kind of lifting, the schools are opening or whatever, she's like, I'm not putting my kid back in school. After all of this was such an eye-opener for me. I'm getting together with a group. She's getting together with a group of other people from the school, and they're putting together small homeschooling circles for their children. And I'm like, oh my God, talk about Gemini North Node. Like, talk about new educational systems. This is such a Gemini North Node thing's going to happen. And I'm like, yes, we are paving the way. You see, with the destruction, with the revealing of so much, we come in with the new ideas. We come in, here we have all the leaders that have been preparing, you and I, that have been preparing for all these years and are ready to bring new solutions, new ideas. And it does take each and every one of us to make the choices that are going to support that. So are you going to send your children back to that same school run by who? Jupiter, Saturn, they're going through transformation. Our educational system's not going to go back to the way it was. Neither is the financial system, especially after January, February next year. And just a lot of different things in our current reality. So this is about you making the choices. And if, you're going to vote for who? Someone who's going to do what? Support the old medical system and the old educational system, This is about making the choices that are in alignment with where we want to go next. And do not get caught up in the immediate perspective, in what you can see with your physical senses alone, because there's a lot that's going to be coming. Remember, a lot of masks are going to be falling. But this is so that we can realize the naked truth and then come to the term with the fact that we are creating this. And now we're ready. We're done doing the whole, I'm the child, you're the adult. Tell me what my week is going to be like. What are the rules for this country? What are the, we're not children anymore. But with that level of awareness comes serious responsibility. And we can only fully step into the manifestors and creators that we are when we become aware of that. And when we understand that. So this is the phase where things need to go. And this is where we may have to come to terms with certain things or feel like we have to make choices, and it's just all a part of the cycle, the greater cycle. And when we're done with all of this, what's going to happen? We are going to fulfill the purpose of the North Node in Gemini, which really is to encourage the new leaders. These are the new voices that are coming into the picture, new ideas, new perceptions. Now, of course, this is not black and white. Our destiny is not written in stone. The planetary energies are setting context in place, but we have our free will to create within that context. And as we create and we unite those two energies of Gemini and Leo in your chart, then we can understand what it is that we are ready to experience and express. There are so many beautiful leaders in here that have incredible gifts. And from this point forward, there is no more script. There's no more script. It's like I was telling someone, from now on, it's like every man on his own. Of course, we're going to be helping each other and supporting each other. That's what the Gemini vibe is all about, the small communities. Where Sagittarius is the big organization and the minister on the pulpit and the people in the crowd. Here's like the big voice of God. You guys listen to me. The gatherings and the retreats and the seminars and the big astrology communities and all the communities. Now it's about going small. Now it's about the whole survival aspect, the little busy bees coming together to see how can we be practical and make things work. How can we use our resources? Gemini is known for being resourceful. It wants us to bring that energy of being resourceful. We may have to do without certain conveniences that we've been used to in our modern matrix structure. I don't even want to use that word modern. Makes it sound like something amazing. But our current structures right now there's much changing, everyone, much changing. And this is about you ultimately finding out that you're a creator. You have a gift to share. There is no more script. The big guys, it's all coming down. Even the avatars, even Paramahansa Yogananda and Sri Yukteswar that I've been so enamored about for it's been 2-3 years now, and reading their books and just really diving deep. All these beautiful, incredible teachers, in whatever way, shape, or form they have come into our lives, they have served the purpose of bringing us here, where we're at now. And now this is about you and your connection to yourself. Use spiritual discernment. There are many voices going on out there. Just because you sit down and meditate or get into a relaxed state and you start feeling things and seeing things and hearing things, it doesn't mean that it's coming from your essence. So have spiritual discernment. There's much happening right now. The voices can get loud. It can get confusing. There are many agendas being played out. And especially for those that have spiritual gifts, we all do, but some of us are more aware than others and have been practicing and using it. These other agendas, they want our participation to co-create. And some of them can even be nice agendas, great. Oh, it's coming from love, it's coming from the heart. Great, okay. But is that what you want? You're a creator. Get aligned with your essence and find out where you are, where you're going, and what's perfect for you. Because while one person may be having huge breakthroughs using this method or this technique, something else may work for you. So don't compare. Don't feel bad, or why are they experiencing this and I'm not? Your path is your path. Get clear with that. And then you can make the choices if you want to help other agendas or whatever or not. For me, I don't want to help any agendas, because for me, it's not about even any dimensions. For me, it's about straight source. So it's all about just what it is about for you. You're a creator. You get to choose. But we're all, to some extent, coming closer and closer to the energetic awareness of the source. So through that, we are going to be exploring our own gifts and our own way of expressing it. How we're going to be helping the world and others in the months to come through our gifts, through our abilities. And this is why it's so important for you to understand your chart as well. to know what it is that you have to offer and what your purpose is in this next cycle. Thank you all for listening to this. I know it's been a lot. We definitely have a big 6 months coming up ahead. This is not anything to be taken lightly. The passage of June 3rd to June 5th is very important. For the most part, if you are able to stay in silence, and especially energetic silence, if you have to talk, it's okay, but be centered, be in your heart. Know that this alignment is like, it's fertile soil. This is where everybody's making their choices. This is what's gonna, all right, boom, 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 game on, let's go. Everyone in their seats, you chose everyone in their roles. Okay, now let's rip out the Band-Aid. Next 6 months are coming, but it's just a cycle. It's just a little phase of the cycle. This time next year, we're gonna be here reminiscing all of this and just seeing how far we've come. In the meantime, thank you for your support. Thank you for loving this video, for sharing this video with others who will benefit from this work too. Sign up for my newsletter on my website. You can easily keep in touch with all the recent activity of what's happening. I'm going to give YouTube a little break for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Not only is the sacred passage happening, but it's also my solar return right after. So this is a very important moment for me. And thank you for supporting that energetically for me. I will be on my newsletter. I will be with my mentorship program in the astrology classroom, in the astrology mentorship program, and in the free Facebook group, the astrology classroom. I will also, every once in a while, I will show up there because that's my little home. That's my little personal space. So you can find me there. And share those groups with your friends too, friends that want to know more about astrology and stars and how to cope with these times, and not only cope, but rise above to what they're really designed to be in our life. Invite them to our Facebook group, the classroom, and I'll see you guys here on the next eclipse. Then the second eclipse that we're going to have is going to be a big one right at the end of June. And I'm telling you, from July on, boom, we're on a new script. I'm glad to have you here with me. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your participation, your love. And I'll see you on the next eclipse, at least here on YouTube. Bye, everyone.